82-0. That's the air combat results from June 9, 1982, when the Israeli Air Force faced Syrian MiGs over Lebanon's Bekaa Valley. 82 Syrian aircraft destroyed, with 0 Israeli losses. 9 years earlier, almost to the month, Israel had just survived its worst military defeat since independence. October 17, 1973, the Yom Kippur War. 2,600 Israeli soldiers dead in 3 weeks. 400 tanks destroyed in 48 hours. The Israeli Defense Forces, once thought invincible after the Six-Day War, was bleeding out in the Sinai and Golan Heights. So how do you go from near annihilation to 82-0 air dominance in 9 years? It's better doctrine. This is Chapter 6, from Learn Fast, Fail Quick, Dominate Slow. The story of how Israel transformed catastrophe into strategic advantage through the most comprehensive doctrinal reinvention in modern military history. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the most important lesson is not even about Israel. It's about how your organization responds when core assumptions turn out to be dead wrong. Let's get into it. October 6, 1973, Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. Most of Israel is in synagogue. The military is on a skeleton crew. It's the one day of the year when even Israeli radio goes silent. At 2 p.m., Syria and Egypt launch a coordinated two-front surprise attack. In the north, 3 Syrian divisions, 600 tanks smash into the Golan Heights defended by just 2 Israeli brigades. 180 Israeli tanks face 600 Syrian tanks. In the south, Egyptian forces crossed the Suez Canal using Soviet-supplied bridging equipment. They overwhelmed the Bar-Lev line, Israel's supposedly impregnable fortification system along the canal. The Israeli Defense Forces, caught completely flat-footed, suffered catastrophic losses. By day 3, 40% of Israel's tank forces destroyed or knocked out, 102 aircraft lost, over 25% of the Israeli Air Force's combat strength. In Golan alone, the IDF's 188 Barak Armored Brigade is nearly annihilated. One Israeli division loses 83 of its 183 tanks in a single day attempting a counterattack. Within 48 hours, Israel has lost 400 tanks. By the war's end, 3 weeks later, 2,600 Israeli are dead. To put that in perspective, Israel's entire population in 1973 was 3.2 million. Proportionally, that's equivalent to the United States of today losing 250,000 soldiers in 3 weeks. This wasn't supposed to happen. After the Six-Day War in 1967, the IDF was thought invincible. Israeli intelligence was considered the best in the world. So what went wrong? After the war, Israel established the Agranat Commission to investigate the failure, but what they found was damning, and it had a name: the concept. The concept, or ha-conceptia in Hebrew, was the dominant analytical framework in Israeli military intelligence before 1973, and it went like this. Egypt won't attack Israel without achieving air superiority over the Sinai. Syria won't attack without Egypt. Since Egypt can't achieve air superiority, war isn't imminent. End of analysis. That's not an intelligence assessment, that's dogma. Eli Zierra, head of Israeli military intelligence, was the chief architect of the concept, and the concept became gospel. In the months before October 1973, Israeli intelligence collected massive amounts of data suggesting imminent attack. Egyptian and Syrian forces massing at the borders, large-scale military exercises that looked like invasion prep, Soviet advisors evacuating Syria and Egypt, multiple warnings from Jordan's King Hussein. All of it was filtered through the concept, and the concept said, no war. Israel had the data. This was a failure of intelligence analysis, a textbook case of confirmation bias and groupthink. The Agranat Commission's conclusion was that Israeli intelligence had become institutionally incapable of challenging its own assumptions. Analysts practiced what they called inductive reasoning and intuition instead of structured deductive methodology. Put simply, they saw what they expected to see, and what they expected was no war. The concept nearly destroyed Israel, but here's the remarkable thing. Instead of just fixing the intelligence failure, Israel reinvented everything. And I mean everything. Between 1973 and 1982, Israel pulled off what might be the most thorough military transformation in modern history. 4 areas. Total reinvention. First was intelligence. Israel intelligence didn't just get reorganized, they built contrarian thinking into the structure. After the Agranat Commission, Israel created a unit within military intelligence called Ipcha Mastabra, literally meaning the opposite side. Their job, challenge every dominant assessment. If 9 analysts agree, the 10th is required to argue the opposite case. This became known as the 10th man rule. The lesson? Never let consensus become dogma. 2 was doctrine. Israeli military doctrine underwent complete overhaul. Before 1973, the IDF relied on armor-heavy attrition warfare. Throw tanks at the problem, Egyptian anti-tank missiles, and Syrian defensive positions. Post-1973, Israel shifted to maneuver warfare, speed, combined arms, decentralized command. Tank doctrine got rewritten to emphasize combined arms integration. Tanks, infantry, artillery, air support, all working as one synchronized system. Third, technology. Israel went all in on electronic warfare and network-centric combat, not just by buying jets, though they did that too when they acquired F-15 starting in 1976 and F-16 starting in 1980. The real transformation was in how those jets were employed. EC-2 Hawkeye AWACS for airborne command and control, advanced electronic warfare pods to jam enemy radar, UAVs for real-time battlefield surveillance. Israel became a pioneer in operational drone use, anti-radiation missiles to destroy enemy-to-surface air missile sites. And fourth, preemption, the doctrine of preemption, striking first to eliminate existential threats. This became Israel's new national security framework. 1973 had proven the cost of waiting. Israel decided, never again. By the early 1980s, Israel had completely rebuilt its military around 4 principles: built-in contrarian thinking, maneuver doctrine, network-centric technology, and preemption as a strategy. And then it got tested. On June 9, 1982, in the Bekaa Valley, Lebanon, Syria has deployed 29 surface-to-air missile batteries, Soviet-supplied SA-6 and SA-8 systems, the most advanced air defense network outside of the USSR. Israel launches Operation Mole Cricket 19, and it's over in 2 hours. Israeli F-15s and F-16s, coordinated by E-2C Hawkeye Airborne Command, executed a precisely choreographed assault. UAVs provoked Syrian radar to activate, revealing battery locations. Israeli electronic warfare jammed Syrian communications and radar. Anti-radiation missiles destroyed 29 of the 30 SAM sites. When the Syrian MiGs scrambled to intercept, Israeli F-15s are waiting with beyond visual range AIM-7 Sparrow missiles. The final tally? 82 Syrian aircraft destroyed, with 0 Israeli losses. In Moscow, Soviet military analysts are in shock. Their most advanced systems, operated by Soviet-trained Syrian forces, have been completely overwhelmed. The Bekaa Valley was not even the first demonstration of Israel's new doctrine. Osirak, preemption as doctrine. June 1981, 1 year before Bekaa Valley, 8 Israeli F-16s escorted by F-15s flew 1,100 miles across hostile airspace to destroy Iraq's Osirak nuclear reactor under construction near Baghdad. The raid takes less than 2 minutes. All Israeli aircraft return undamaged. Prime Minister Menachem Begin's statement after establishes what becomes known as the Begin Doctrine. This attack will be a precedent for every future government in Israel. Preemption. The lesson of 1973's failure to preempt is now national policy. From 2,600 dead in October 1973 to an 82-0 rout in June of 1982. That's 9 years. But it's not just a story about Israel. This is a case study in organizational transformation under existential pressure. So what's the takeaway? Lesson 1. Institutionalize contrarian thinking. After 1973, Israel didn't just say we need diverse perspectives. They made it mandatory. The 10th man rule is not a suggestion, it's a structural requirement. If your organization suffered a major failure because everyone agreed on the wrong thing, how are you preventing that from happening again? Most organizations say they want contrarian thinking, but Israel built it into the org chart. Lesson 2, near-death experiences reveal core assumptions. The concept wasn't an isolated intelligence failure, rather it was a symptom of something deeper. Institutional arrogance after the 6-Day War. Israel thought it was invincible. That assumption nearly destroyed the country. When your organization fails, you have to ask, what core assumption did we hold that turned out to be dead wrong? That's where transformation starts. Lesson 3, real transformation is not incremental. Israel didn't just buy better tanks after 1973. They reinvented intelligence analysis, combat doctrine, technical integration, and a national security strategy. Total transformation, 9 years of it. This is what learn fast, fail quick, dominate slow means. Learn fast. Israel learned from devastating failure. Fail quick. They identified the concept as the root cause. Dominate slow. 9 years of thorough reinvention before the payoff. Dominance is not fast, it's methodical. Here's a contrarian insight for you. The Bekaa Valley 82-0 result, that's not even the most important part of the story. The most important part is October 1973, the catastrophe itself. Without the catastrophe, there's no reinvention. Without 2,600 dead and the national trauma of near defeat, Israel doesn't build the 10th man rule. They don't reinvent doctrine. They don't go 82-0 in 1982. Most organizations avoid catastrophic failure. Israel weaponized it, and that's the doctrine. This is Chapter 6 from Learn Fast, Fail Quick, Dominate Slow. Act 2, Military and Historical Cases. The full chapter breaks down Israeli doctrinal transformation in greater detail, including the Agranat Commission findings, the Begin Doctrine's long-term implications, and how the 10th man rule actually functions in practice. If you found this valuable, subscribe for the next chapter in the series. If you're thinking about how your organization responds to failure or avoids contrarian thinking, drop a comment. We'll read them. Learn fast, fail quick, dominate slow. We'll see you in the next one.